Once upon a time, there were 3 scientists that had to climb up onto a mountain to find out how some guy got killed. But they didn't know what time to meet in the mountain. This was the first problem out of many problems which could arise in this movie. So, once they met up, they had to climb the mountain. But they needed pickaxes and little hooks and a lot of mud and a lot of rope because it's a 5-kilometer high mountain. Yes, but the thing is that they weren't very experienced climbers, as they were just scientists. This is the problem because they were all afraid of heights. So, once they eventually got to the top, they found out that there was a noob tube, which was actually a grenade launcher, which had been fired, and there was blood everywhere, and there was an arm, but this was all covered in snow, and an empty canister. So that pretty much wrapped up the fact that this guy got killed by a noob tube. But anyway, so they took some photos, scaled down the other side of the mountain, and they found another body. This body was just a normal body, but he was shot through the head, and he had a pistol in his hand, which, to us, tells us that he committed the suicide. So, they're back at the lab now, and they're discussing the photos that they've taken, and yeah, they've essentially discovered that it was that guy that got blown up by the guy that killed himself, because the guy that killed himself was put into last stand. But the thing is that who authorized this battle on the top of the mountain? So they realized that the only way to find the reason of why there was a battle on the top of the mountain was to ask the army guys. So they went to the army guy base, and when they got there, they had a bit of trouble. The guys in the army base had no clue that this had happened, and that they would have to investigate ASAP. But the scientists said that wouldn't be necessary. It wasn't necessary because they had already been up there and fully discussed and discovered what had happened up there. I told you this story before. But so, the army, as persistent as they are, refused to accept the other scientists' please do not go up theirs, and they went there. All of a sudden they assumed the scientists killed this man and put the grenade launcher there, and had the guy that killed himself there had his fingerprints on the noob tube. But simply, they were wrong, as the American army always is. But so they're all in the cave where they saw the body, and they're being shot at by helicopters and rocket launchers and machine guns and pistols and bullets and grenades and everything that you could imagine that would hurt someone in a battle. But they realized something, that there was a hidden hatch which led to which led to a cavity which fell down basically the whole mountain, but it was like a water slide, and they'd slide along and it would lead them directly to a grass field. So this plan wasn't very successful, as they were. 2 of the scientists were killed. One of them was severely hurt, and he is now in the he's taken prisoner by the army, and he's being tortured for any information he knows. But seeing he's being captured by the army, and that, as you have realized, that the army in 2040 is very, very, very strict, and they can't take any chances as everything is up, and the government relies on the army to maintain the government's power. This is pretty obvious because that's how it's running today. But in 2040, it is massive. It is huge. It is like, it's like without the army, you'd like fall into a third world country. But anyway, so the conclusion of my animation is that the data in the noob tube was a grenade which was fired by the noob tube. Yeah. That concludes my animation.